How's it going, everybody? This is Dustin with Team Conti Sim Performance with the truck track tutorial year 25 week or season 3 week 5. This is Gateway or Worldwide Technology Raceway. Big shout out, big thank you to Nick Hulslander for the race run replay this week. Um, like I mentioned in weeks past, it's always great to get the engagement from our team guys, our ambassadors, in getting this content out there. Uh, really appreciate it. So again, big thank you to Nick. We'll get right into this replay. While he's getting up to speed, I'm just going to put his lap times up there so you can freeze frame that. Pick out the noteworthy laps, the fives, the tens, from there. Kind of get an idea of what you should be hitting in this weather. There's the weather. Nick was an easy option or easy choice this week. This is his type of racetrack. Seems to really excel at short tracks and can push pace while maintaining tires. So hopefully we can pick out a few things that he's doing here that we can pass on to you. First thing that stands out is really obvious. Watch this throttle trace from center exit mostly. Finish this lap out and then I'll comment. Thing I notice with both pedals, you'll see that his brake pressure peaks and then trails off. Throttle, he never really, once he picks up throttle, he never decreases the amount of throttle. And you'll hear me point that out in many of the videos I do, because oftentimes that's something when I'm doing the replay that I screw up, that I struggle with. My initial pickup is too high. I end up having to come back out of the throttle, and all I'm doing there is just unnecessarily shocking the tires on that initial throttle pickup. So that's something to keep an eye on, really work toward. Peak brake pressure early, trailing off to roll, and then initial throttle pickup around 50%, 30% there, but he's just squeezing it. He's just squeezing it back to it and not coming back out of the throttle. You'll notice he's in the throttle a lot more in 3 and 4 now, lap 5, than he was to start the run. The setup will start a little edgy on the cold tires. That's due to air pressures, so keep that in mind. If you try and light the world on fire in the first couple laps, 1, you risk wrecking yourself, and 2, you're just not conditioning your tires, bringing your tires up to the peak operating temperatures and pressures in a correct manner, or a manner that's going to translate into long run speed. Again, keep a close eye on that throttle trace. Once we're picking it up, we're not coming back out of it. It's a steady squeeze, a steady ramp up to full throttle. Line wise, we're getting down to that tar. Downshifting once the truck is landed. If you downshift early, you can get loose, really send the rear of the truck around. But it's kind of crucial to get it downshifted at that point of landing, because that'll help you rotate. And if you can rotate a little more with the rear end because of the engine, um, the better you'll preserve those front tires, mainly your right front. Not really fighting it to hold it on that tar, letting it roll up the hill, crossing it back up to the tar on exit to get that straight exit. Straightaways here are so long, it's very critical that you optimize those that exit speed. Exit speed translates to straightaway speed, and here that's an ideal way to defend passes and to make passes. Little different approach there in 1 and 2. We held it down a little bit more, slowed it down a little more to do that. Take a look at what it does to lap time. Completing lap 9. Yeah, lost 4 hundredths, which is normal steady fall off. Back to that lower diamond, got it all the way back down to the tar. That was a really good ideal line right there in 1 and 2. Three and 4 right down to that paint. That paint, it's got grip. You can see when that left front got to the paint how it hooked the truck and just pulled it around. This track with its old surface, it will tend to wear it'll wear whichever end of the truck you're abusing. So if you're finding that you're getting really tight, you need to take care of that entry a little more. If you find that you're getting loose, then really work on that throttle input, acceleration on exit, and not sliding the rears. Yes, it's a night race and the track's cooler, so there's some forgiveness there. Last time we were here, I believe we had a 107 track temp. This time it's 80, so much cooler. That equates to less fall off. We're still right around that 1.5 seconds of fall off through 30 laps. In previous our previous time here, when it was a hotter track, if you could hold it to that 1.5, you were doing really well. So I say that just to illustrate that it is a little more forgiving this time. Tire wear is about 5% better on both right sides after 30. So you can push it a little bit harder in this time around. But keep in mind that everybody's on the same track, so everybody's reaping those same benefits. So if you can preserve what you've got for longer, you'll be there at the end. Still just really smooth wheel inputs, braking, trailing off, and then squeezing back into that throttle. As speeds come down, you'll notice that upshift into 4th out of 2 can get later and later. Early run, it'll really hit you at at a tough spot, so be mindful of that, and especially when there are other trucks around you. If you exit too high out of 2, you can get into that little swale, that little grade transition or banking transition that can upset the truck. And if you're trying to shift at the same time and side by side with somebody, it can get pretty hairy there. So that's a, a point of warning, something to be mindful of. So you notice he's shifting at 132 miles an hour. Let's take a look at our speeds through 3 and 4. That's well below that 132 mark, but you need to take a look at where that eclipses back over. So I'm actually gonna pause the replay at that point, and then you can kind of see, okay, 18 laps in with the fall off that we've got at this point, and really we're only about 2.5 tenths slower or faster than our slowest time at lap 30 at this point. So it's not going to be much different throughout the run. But take a look at that speed when we eclipse the 132. About right here is where you would be grabbing fourth if you were to shift in 3 and 4. I don't think I'd advise it. I think you keep it in fourth. If you do want to drive something where you can shift in 3 and 4, you can change the gear, the rear end ratio. It's not a big change. It's only 6 points, I think, so 0.06 on the ratio. Not really enough to gain you much, but it might be something worth trying out. I mean, if you could come out of the hole here in turn 4 in third gear, get alongside somebody and not sacrifice speed as you're shifting, it may be an option in a situation where you need to set up a pass. Passing into 1 can be tricky, mostly because most people, when you show them a nose, they're still going to run second lane. They're not going to move up to the third lane to give you the preferred line through 1 and 2. They're going to force you down to the bottom. The bottom's a little flatter and it's a whole lot bumpier. So keep that in mind. Best place to pass is usually out of turn 2 here. If you can generate a really good run and get to fourth gear smoothly and without a bobble, generate that speed, you can beat him to the bottom in turn 3. Fuel burn here, you're burning between 0.31 and 0.32 gallons per lap. That puts the pit window in the 57 to 59 range. So here we're shifting in 3 and 4. You can see where that shift to fourth is. It's kind of an awkward spot. Maintained lap time though, so 25 in, it may be a viable option, especially to get that shot out of the corner. Like I said before, if you're trying to set up a pass or recover from, say you blow your entry, struggling to get it to the bottom, dropping it down to third might help you, recover from that, get it rotated to the bottom, and then accelerate off. Left it in fourth there last time in 3 and 4, and you notice he got a little free. That too could be a result of heating the tires by shifting the previous lap. Looks like it's got some really good rotation there in turn 4. 2 to go. Be mindful of that and smooth on that throttle. Really solid 1 and 2 there. That's a pretty good lap, really good lap. And that wraps up the 30 at 7:06. So, in summary, take care of the entries by not transitioning throttle to brake super hard, super fast, not diving it in really deep to where you're forced to drive it that way. If you're sliding the front with a lot of brake in it, that's just killing the right front tire. Exit. You don't want to wop the throttle. You want to make sure you're smooth on that input. Shifting could become an option in 3 and 4, but I'd reserve that for passing. Went back to not shifting right here in this run. Nick did and just maintained pace. So it's just an added shift, an added opportunity for a mistake. Also, it seemed to superheat the tires to where it got a little hot, a little free for the next lap. Had to cool that back down. Cooler track, it's going to be more forgiving. But if you find that you are losing the nose entry, like I mentioned before, adjust those lifting points so you're not in the brake as hard, so that weight transition isn't as extreme. Just kind of limits the load on the right front tire, and that equates to heat and wear. About a 57 to 59 lap fuel window. Other than that, again, a big thank you to Nick Hulslander for the replay. And that's about it. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out, as always. And we thank you for choosing Team Conti Sim Performance. Good luck this week.